for joining us today. My name is Sam and I'll be your moderator today. In just a minute, we'll be joined by Tyson Mavar, who is one of our senior financial advisors here at the Retirement Group. And he is going to be speaking to AT&T employees about how to decide whether you should be taking the lump sum or the annuity option when you decide to retire from AT&T, given that interest rates are changing. Before Tyson comes on, I'd like to very quickly remind you that we are not affiliated nor endorsed whatsoever by AT&T. We are a completely independent group of financial advisors here. Please keep that in mind as you're listening along today. Throughout Tyson's presentation, I will be entering some links into the chat. Feel free to pop that chat open if you'd like, and you can take advantage of those links. They will guide you to several different resources that we have available, one of which may simply be a link to book an appointment with Tyson or one of his colleagues after this presentation has ended. And when he is done with his presentation, I will jump back on very quickly with Tyson to ask him some of the questions that may have come through the Q&A box. Feel free to also have that open. If you have any questions while he's speaking, ask away. It's completely anonymous, and Tyson will answer as many questions as he can, time permitted. And with that, here is Tyson Mavar.
Thank you, Sam, and thank you everybody for attending our webinar series today. My name is Tyson Mavar, one of the AT&T focused retirement advisors for the Retirement Group. And on today's webinar series, we're going to cover the different pension options. We recently did an update on interest rates, which we will actually also talk about today, but we wanted to focus today more on the merits of the various benefit options on how to take your pension, whether as a lump sum or as one of the various annuity options that AT&T gives most employees that are retiring from the company and deciding how to take their pension. Those of you who aren't as familiar with our company, Retirement Group has been working with AT&T employees for over 30 years, and we have hundreds of AT&T clients, although we are not affiliated with AT&T nor endorsed by AT&T. We just have a very unique knowledge of the AT&T benefits plans and options, and today we're going to talk about the pension specifically. So many of you will have different options on how to take your pension, as well as different rules depending on which pension plan you're on and where you started your career and how long ago you started your career. But one thing that is consistent among all pension plans at AT&T is this retirement date of age 65, or what they call normal retirement date of age 65. And while you could retire prior to age 65, and many people do, oftentimes without any age penalties, this is the way that the company is going to calculate your age 65 single life annuity, which is the default payment option for most pension plans at AT&T, at least the defined benefit pension plans. There's also a number of cash balance or defined contribution pension plans, which work a little bit differently than the defined benefit plans. But both of those, cash balance and defined benefit plans, have a lump sum option. And while some employees, specifically craft or non-management employees, don't always qualify for a lump sum, in particular when you don't reach your Mod 75 eligibility, most people are going to be offered a lump sum option. And if you're not sure if and when you will be able to take a lump sum, let us know and we'll help you identify that after we ask you a few questions. And typically we'll walk you through the net benefits modeler on the Fidelity website. Now, the other reason that age 65 is relevant is because if you work past age 65, you will not be entitled in almost all cases to defer the election of your pension. And while many people figure they will just take their pension right when they retire anyway, there's some reasons that you might want to consider waiting to take your pension, specifically if you have age penalties or if we can foresee interest rates will go down and anticipate your lump sum to go up as a result. Oftentimes, if you are already 65 when you're retiring, you will not have that luxury or that option to wait on taking your pension. Now, the lump sum has been quite attractive for many employees for many years, especially in a lower interest rate environment that we saw several years ago. Even in the slightly higher interest rate environment that we've seen in the last couple of years, we still see the lump sum fairly attractive for many employees, and there's a variety of reasons for that, but it's not the only option, and it's not always the best option. It's important that you understand how each of these options play out, or what the rules are in each one, what the monthly amounts are, and the benefit payout so you can make a good, sound decision for you and your family. And we feel that you as the employee are going to be best prepared to make that decision once you understand all of the merits of the different options, and only you will be able to make a good decision on that given your knowledge of your family, your values, your life expectancy, your medical history, a lot of different things that go into this decision on how to take your benefits. So single life annuity, that's going to be the lifetime annuity for your life only, and it's going to be the biggest annuity payout option of the many that they give you, depending on which pension plan you're on. Joint survivor annuity is a lifetime payment for 2 lifetimes. Typically, a spouse, but not always, will be what they call the joint annuitant. Many of these have a pop-up provision, which means that if your joint annuitant, let's say it's your spouse, passes away first, they'll actually give you an increase in your benefits. And then, of course, if you pass away first, it's typically going to be a decrease, but not always, especially in the case of the 100% joint survivor. But the payouts on the joint survivor annuity options are always lower than the single life annuity option because the life expectancy of two people is longer than one person. Now, we're going to also talk about look back periods, how they play into the lump sum calculation, and how interest rates affect the lump sum payouts. And then we're going to go over the most recently available interest rate data that we have. So you can kind of have an idea of what likely this year is going to look like. And if you're somebody who's either close to retiring or close to taking your benefits, if you already retired, hopefully this information you find valuable in some of these decisions that are coming up. Now, like I mentioned, the single life annuity, it's going to be the largest payment because it's for your life only. Now, when you start adding joint survivor provisions or riders onto any kind of an annuity payment, whether it's the annuity that you essentially are buying from AT&T, the cost of which is your lump sum, or if you take the lump sum and go buy an annuity from an insurance company that you might have other features that could potentially be attractive to you depending on your circumstances. The single life annuity is going to produce a higher payment than the joint survivor, but it is going to be an irrevocable decision. And once your life ends, that money ceases. The payments will stop, and there will be no death benefit to children, spouse, family members. There are no beneficiaries in this case. So that is one reason I see people not quite as attracted to this or really any of the annuity options, in that once you pass away, at least under the single life annuity payment, the company would keep any additional funds that you didn't spend, as opposed to what you could have received from the lump sum and gifted to your family through the lump sum. There's also no cost of living adjustment on this. And as a result of this, the higher inflation is throughout your retirement. In other words, the faster the rate that cost of goods and services are going up, the less and less valuable this payout option is going to become. Now, in a low inflation environment, that might not be as detrimental, but we definitely saw what inflation can do to purchasing power and what it has done to all of our groceries and utilities and healthcare costs just in the last couple of years when we had some higher than normal inflation. So this is another concern we've heard from a lot of people recently, and a reason that many people have continued to still take the lump sum even after they saw that lump sum go down with rising interest rates. The joint survivor annuity, similar to the single life annuity, is a lifetime payout, but it's for 2 lifetimes rather than one. And as a result of this, you are going to receive less money in early retirement, or less money while both you and your joint annuitant are alive, than you will after you pass. Or at least your spouse or joint annuitant will receive after you pass. Because of the pop-up provisions, it's possible, though, you could get an increase in your pension payment if your joint annuitant goes first. So if it was me taking the pension, my wife passed away, and I took the 100% joint survivor annuity, upon her death, I would receive an increase in my monthly annuity payment back to what I could have otherwise taken as a single life annuity when I originally made this decision. If I passed away first, then my wife would receive no reduction in her income. If I took the 100% joint survivor, if I took a 50% joint survivor, then my spouse, would receive half as much income after my lifetime. But the benefit of the 50% survivor option is that it's larger during both of our lifetime together. Now, this can complicate things given the variety of different options to take. We think the best way to evaluate these options is by plugging your information into a cash flow analysis software. We have one we do complimentary for anybody at AT&T that's willing to spend some time with us. That gives us an opportunity also to get to know you and for you to get to know us to see if it might be a good fit to do some business with us after you retire from AT&T, should you decide to work with an advisory firm. So good comparison, joint versus single life, and maybe look at a couple different joint lifetime payout options. And then we'll probably also compare to the lump sum if that's even something that you're considering or have interest in some of the values that come with that lump sum. Now, this look back period is significant for just those who are taking a lump sum. And what it means is that the company is going to use current interest rates to convert your monthly annuity into a present value lump sum. Well, how they define current interest rates is based off the most recent November's corporate bond interest rates, also known as the segment rates or IRS present value interest rates. Now, these interest rates are published and updated monthly, but it's only the November interest rates that are relevant for AT&T lump sum calculations. And so we continue to watch these throughout the year to start to get an idea of what direction interest rates are going. And by November, or at least the end of November, once the IRS publishes these rates, we can confidently say what is going to happen to everybody's lump sum who's on the defined benefit plans, which is most of the pension plans, the CAM, the Legacy T management plan, the most non-bargain programs are affected by these interest rates, and they play a very big role. We saw some of our clients losing $200,000, $250,000, and in some cases as high as $300,000 on their pension lump sum at the turn of the year from 2022 to 2023. It wasn't quite as bad from 2023 to 2024, but it goes to show how important knowledge of these rules and issues can be on picking a good time to leave AT&T and picking a good decision on how to take your pension. So keep an eye on this. We're delighted to give you the updated rates if you're not following this IRS page currently. If you're somebody who's close to retirement, you probably ought to be if you're even considering taking your pension as a lump sum. So stay updated on these interest rates, and we'll update you periodically on these webinars as well. Here's those rates that they published over the last, looks like 5 years we have data for here, or 6 years actually. The most recent one being at the very top here. You can see there's 3 interest rates. You could plug these interest rates into the net benefits calculator, or if you just do nothing, this is what will automatically default because these rates are known for all retirements and commencement dates in 2024. And if you do nothing to the pension modelers' fields on interest rates and try to project your pension out into the future, it will continue to use these rates, but you can also modify these rates and it will allow you to do that for future retirement dates. And we strongly encourage play around with these numbers, run projections for different dates, look at different assumptions on how you take your pension. And ideally, if you're somebody who's considering a lump sum, these interest rates go down. And also you have the opportunity to pick your retirement date, right? Because we know a lot of people haven't been able to do that for a variety of different reasons over the last few years because of downsizing, because of movement around the country within the company. But it's always good to be prepared for whatever comes our way. And unfortunately, rates are a little bit higher than they were a couple of years ago. That's not to say they can't continue to go up. It's very, very difficult, if not impossible, to predict what direction these will go, but we watch them very closely because it could make or break your retirement depending on how much money is lost on your pension as a result of fluctuating interest rates. Now I'll zoom in again, what's happened to the interest rates. And you can see the 3 segments typically aren't as close together as they are today. There's usually a spread of 1 or 2%, sometimes as much as, it was close to 5% between the first and third segment back in 2014. Now the first and third segment are almost identical. And that is indicative in some cases of what they call an inverted yield curve, where long-term interest rates are shorter than short-term interest rates. And that is rare. It's not always the case. It's in previous uh, recession timeframes, sometimes indicative of a recession. But there's no indication of that yet. But the best advice we have is to watch these rates closely, because it's not only going to affect your pension payout, but it could also affect what you decide to invest in your retirement portfolio. Whether it's your 401k only or your pension lump sum and your 401k, those are going to be some pretty big decisions that you have to make once you leave the company. How to recreate the paycheck from AT&T once the paycheck from AT&T goes away. And there's a variety of different ways to do that. And how you take your pension is going to play into ultimately where you're getting your cash flow after you leave AT&T. So the lump sum, they call it the actuarial equivalent of the future annuity payouts. What, of course, the company does not know is how much you'll be able to invest that lump sum or what rate you'll be able to receive in interest, nor do they know how long you're going to live. So there's some guesswork that has to be done, and there's a rules-based approach to this, where the company uses actuarial tables to look at your life expectancy, as well as three different interest rates. They used to just use one interest rate, but now it's three different corporate bond interest rates to guesstimate what they'll have to give you as a lump sum to essentially make you indifferent between taking the pension as a lump sum versus as one of the various annuity options. Now, there's no death benefit from the company if you take the lump sum, but that money can be rolled over to your 401k. It can be rolled over to an individual retirement account. It can be rolled over into your bank account also, by the way, which we wouldn't recommend in almost every scenario, just because you'd have to pay taxes in that scenario. Whereas if you roll over the lump sum to a qualified account, you can continue deferring taxes on that until the money is withdrawn from that qualified retirement account. And then typically we'll see our clients designating beneficiaries, whoever and however you like. It might be spouse, family members, could be to a trust, could be to a cause that's important to you. And oftentimes it's not easy for people to understand why these rising interest rates are going to reduce the lump sum. So we liken this to a mortgage payment. And this helps a lot of people sort of envision this, wherein if you were to borrow money for a mortgage, and let's say your budget was $1,950 per month. And at current interest rates, let's say those interest rates were 4% for a 30-year fixed. The bank or lender offers you $408,500, or tells you can buy a house for that much money. Now, let's say you come back a year later, budget hasn't changed, same $1,950 a month, but interest rates have gone down 3%. Well, the bank's actually going to lend you more money or allow you to buy a more expensive home because interest rates went down. And it just has to go, or has to do with time value of money. Effectively, what interest rate you're able to average on your lump sum is unknown, but they have a rules-based approach at using corporate bond interest rates. And if interest rates are higher, they figure you'll be able to invest that money at higher rates, and as a result, give you less money on the lump sum to equate to the same amount of annuity payments over the projected life expectancy. Now, what we found statistically is that 74% of Americans over the age of 50 don't even have a written plan for their retirement. And as far as we're concerned, this is absolutely unacceptable. Think about how much time we spend planning our vacations over our lifetime, how much thought and work and decision making goes into putting together 1 or 2 week vacation. Well, think of retirement as a potentially 30-year vacation. So put some time into this, folks, because some of these decisions are irrevocable. We've seen so many cases in the past where people will make a mistake and not even know they made it. And it's hard for us to have to tell them after the fact when it's an irrevocable mistake that probably costs them hundreds of thousands of dollars in some cases, especially when it comes to the taxes on a lot of this stuff. Spend some time with us. It's a complimentary service we have available to everybody at AT&T. If you're willing to spend about 30 minutes with us, we're happy to put this retirement cash flow analysis together for you. And we're very confident you'll get value in going through this exercise. So take us up on it. Here's some of the things that some of our clients have said they liked about our company and why they went with us. over 150 years of aggregate knowledge, helping people retire from AT&T, a company that's been around for over 3 decades, helping corporate employees, AT&T being one of the companies we specialize in, but there's several others that we have clients from, and offices throughout the country, as well as a complementary analysis tool that is designed specifically to the AT&T retirement process. There's no obligation to do business with us if you spend time with us on a phone or a web meeting. We're confident at the very least you might help us to grow our business by recommending some of your coworkers talk to us, because we're very confident you'll get some value in that exercise if you spend a few minutes with us. Here's how to reach us. If you'd like to request that cash flow analysis, if you'd like to just ask a few questions about your situation or get to know us a little bit better, you can email us at info@theretirementgroup.com. Call us at the home office at 800-900-5867. You can even take a picture of this QR code and get on mine or one of my colleagues' calendars. And then we also have a LinkedIn page where we publish these webinars and have a lot of good content, I believe, for somebody who's approaching their retirement from AT&T. With that, we're going to wrap it up today, with the exception of any questions that might have come up. Sam, I'm going to let you ask away, and we'll see if we can get to all the questions.
Thank you, Tyson. Yeah, we're just gonna answer a couple and keep this short. This first one, I'm 64 and planning to retire this year. I plan to postpone my AT&T pension and wait for the rates to drop. How long can I defer?
So 64, approaching 65, which is relevant. It depends on which plan you're on. Excuse me. Some of the plans only let you defer the election up to 90 days. And if you don't take the lump sum by then, you're forced to take an annuity. Other plans will allow you to defer it beyond 90 days, but not until your not after your 65th birthday. It'll be the first available commencement date on or after your 65th birthday, which oftentimes is the first of the month after your 65th birthday. So I would need to know more about your situation, unfortunately, to answer that confidently. But my guess is it's probably going to be less than a year. You might not be able to defer all the way up until January 1st, which you would need to lock in the 2025 lump sum interest rates. If you're forced to take the pension this year, you might not have the luxury. And as it looks right now, interest rates are lower than they were last November. And if they stay flat or trend down even further, it's likely a lot of people are going to be making some money on their pension plan. So a very thoughtful question. I hope for your sake that you are able to defer it just in case rates do go down and you can make some extra money on your lump sum.
As a follow-up question to that, how can they find out which pension plan they have, which plan they're on?
Yeah, great question. By logging into the Fidelity Net Benefits website, you click on the pensions tab, and it's going to have the title of your plan. It could be AT&T or non-bargain program of the AT&T PBP, for example. That's a very common one. Or the ALM, AT&T Legacy Management Program of the AT&T PBP, which stands for Pension Benefit Program. Or just let us know, call us, and we'll show you how to find that in the Fidelity Net Benefits website if you've never seen that.
Oh, thank you, Tyson. Okay. Second question here. Can I take up an annuity in addition to a partial lump sum to ensure a steady income?
Yeah, there's for a lot of people a couple ways to do that. Managers, in most cases, will have a partial lump sum with residual annuity. You could always take the full lump sum and purchase your own annuity with the exact amount of money that made sense for your that you felt that made sense for your income goal and what income floor you were hoping to create as a lifetime stream or as a certain number of years stream of income. There's a variety of different ways to do that. And for some people, the partial lump sum with residual annuity works out perfectly in terms of the amount of annuity that they want. And then the lump sum, they just add to their 401k and help to fight inflation over their life, or spend flexibly in the early years. But unfortunately, not always is the partial lump sum with residual annuity a good fit, because either the partial lump sum is really big and the residual annuity is really small, or vice versa. It doesn't always work out perfectly. So another way to create your own pension that's maybe more unique to your circumstances and values is just take the full lump sum and use a portion of that to purchase an annuity from an insurance company other than AT&T.
All righty. One more. Okay, last one. Would an annuity be taxed any differently than my lump sum from AT&T?
Good question. Depends on how quickly you spend it. The tax tables are no different. If you were to roll over the lump sum to an IRA, for example, which is what many of our clients do, and then take the same amount of money out of that IRA as you would have received otherwise from the AT&T pension annuity, it would not be taxed any differently. If, on the other hand, you spent more money, which is not uncommon, by the way, for people in the early years of retirement, to spend a little bit more money because you're younger, have more energy, you're knocking some things off your list that you might not need to later in life. The more income you take from a retirement account in any given year, the higher your tax bracket can go. And it's possible you could be paying higher or lower taxes just depending on the frequency and size of withdrawals from the retirement account, which is completely up to you. And this is sometimes, well, we'll have to second guess our clients' decisions to take a large withdrawal in a given year to, let's say, pay off some debt or to buy something and pay cash rather than financing. Sometimes we'll encourage them to spread out the withdrawals over multiple tax years to reduce the total taxes paid for something like that. But that goes into the tax and distribution strategy. And another good reason to get a cash flow analysis done so you can start to uncover some of these mistakes that people often make, and hopefully you can avoid making some of those mistakes.
Definitely. We are here to help you guys avoid mistakes. And with that, I believe we are finished for today. Tyson, any last thoughts before we go?
I think that's it, Sam. Thanks for the help today. Everybody have a good rest of your week here, and we hope to talk to you all very soon.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Tyson.
Bye-bye.